Before I begin, this story is up 18 years. When you have kids around, please use headphones. Thank you for your understanding. Invasion of aquatic extraterrestrial beings in the Baltic Sea. It's finally June. Ralph Saller is looking forward to the summer season. He is a local artist. He paints motifs from the Baltic Sea. He lives in Ahrenshoop, a municipality in the Vorpommern region district in Mecklenburg-Western Pomerania on the Baltic Sea peninsula, Fischland das Zingst. It used to be a small fishing village, but today it is known for its tourism and as a holiday resort. The village was first mentioned in 1311 as a border point for the town of Rydnes. In 1889, an artist and painter discovered the village, impressed by the landscape, and founded an artists' colony that continues to grow in popularity today. Today Ahrenshoop is known as an artists' health resort. It is a popular place for artists and celebrities. Ralph Saller is the owner of an art gallery. He exhibits his paintings and other works of art by artists from the Ahrenshoop area. In his art house you will find artistic pottery, paintings and clay sculptures. The sun is shining and the temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. Ralph Saller is on his way from Ahrenshoop to the harbor. Many people cross him on his way. The first tourists have arrived and he is mentally looking forward to his business. He hopes to sell some paintings from his art house. But he is currently preparing his new project. He wants to paint the lighthouse from Darcer Platz. This lighthouse is near Born, a small town next to Ahrenshoop. He wants to paint it at sunset, when twilight touches the lighthouse. Now he's hungry. He wants to get smoked fish from the fishery at the harbor. It's really hot and people walking by are in a hurry. He considers what kind of paint and what other equipment he can use, what he needs for his project. He notices that the birds are really quiet today. He always hears the birds chirping. Maybe it's too hot, he thinks on the way. He meets Anya down at the harbor. She is a good friend and owner of the fishery. He asks her, "Hello Ms. Anya. What's the catch of the day today?" "Ralph, I've never seen that before. We didn't even catch a small fish today. Every fisherman who went out came back empty. I don't know if it's because of climate change. It's really weird." Anya said, "By the way, Anya, I didn't hear the birds today either. Something's going on here," replied Ralph. "I don't know, Ralph. Something happened." The fisherman said they saw a strange green light out by the sea. Says Anya, "That's strange, Anya. So what can I eat now?" He asks. "I still have smoked fish from yesterday." Answers Anya, "Okay, better than nothing, my dear." Ralph says. She brings him a large piece of halibut. "Oh, thank you, Anya. This is a huge piece." Ralph says happily, "You're welcome. Come by tomorrow, maybe we'll have better luck catching fish," says Anya. Ralph gratefully takes his fish and heads home. Helmut Lang is a fisherman of the old kind. He's 68, but he loves fishing. With his mustache and huge beer belly, he looks like a walrus with a pipe in his mouth. He is a very friendly guy, happy with his life. He is sitting in a bar at the harbor at a regulars table with other fishermen and drinking a beer. He says around, "Guys, I've been at sea for so many years now. I've never seen anything like this today. No fish in the net and this strange green light outside. Today is a full moon and there is a lot of light outside. Who wants to go out to the sea with me?" I want to know what's going on. If the green light comes back, I will call the Coast Guard. If there is nothing outside, we can try fishing to recoup our loss. What do you think? You are with me in this? Everyone answers. Yes. When do you want to set out? Tonight at 9 p.m, we'll meet at my boat. If we're successful fishing later, we'll share the profit. Let's get some rest and then we'll get started. Sounds good. Wear their helmet. The fishermen say happily. The fishermen don't know that this will be a ship to hell. When Ralph gets home, he eats his fish with bread and a white wine. He then prepares for his trip to the lighthouse. He packs brushes, paint, a blank painting and other things into his backpack bag. He thinks what a strange story for Manya. Tomorrow he wants to go up from the lighthouse to see if he can see anything out by the sea. It rings at the door. Ralph goes to the door and opens it. A couple is at the door. Ralph says, "Hello, can I help you?" The man answers, "Hello, are you Ralph Saller, the artist?" "Yes, I am. What can I do for you?" Ralph asks, "My name is Peter Sachs and this is my wife Sandra. When is your art gallery next door open?" Peter replies, "Nice to meet you, Peter and Sandra. It's open from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m, longer on request. But I'm looking forward to opening it for you now. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you, Mr. Saller," Peter says happily. Ralph goes next door with them to show the art house. Ralph is very happy about the first one's customers for a month. The summer season is now beginning for him. Ralph asks, "Where are you from?" "We come from Munich to spend our vacation here. We were very impressed by the landscape here and decided to buy a souvenir. We heard from a nice lady in the harbor that you have very good pictures of the landscape," says Peter. "I'm glad to hear this. You can look around my art gallery here. If you have any questions, I'll be waiting at the entrance and please call me Ralph." "Thank you very much, Ralph." Peter and Sandra look around and admire Ralph's art. There are various paintings of the coast with sand dunes and pine trees. Paintings of sailing ships, the harbor and ancient buildings. Even the crane birds can be seen in his paintings. These birds arrive in late spring and early fall. Over the winter the birds fly to Africa and rest on Fishland Dars. This is a popular motif by painters from Arendshoop. Peter and Sandra return to Ralph. "Ralph, we found a very beautiful painting of the crane bird in the landscape." Ralph follows them to the painting. He says to them, "I was very lucky that day. I painted the landscape and the crane was standing in the middle of the landscape." Tells Ralph, "How much does the painting cost?" "Ralph, this painting costs €429, but I like you. I'll give it to you for €379. Peter and Sandra are happy and buy the painting. "I wish you a nice holiday here in Arendshoop. Maybe we'll see each other again," says Ralph. "Thank you very much, Ralph. For you too, have a nice weekend. We would be happy to see you again." They don't know that they will see each other again under different circumstances. Peter and Sandra are on the way to their hotel. They are very happy about their beautiful souvenir. But they are not here for vacation. They lead to Ralph. They are both in a secret organization and they are here to investigate. They heard about mystical lights around the Baltic Sea. Peter and Sandra are paranormal investigators. They investigate mythical phenomena, UFO sightings and other paranormal events. They both traveled the world to raise awareness about paranormal activity. Peter says to Sandra, "Tomorrow we have to go to the lighthouse. From above we have a good view of the landscape. We'll stay there overnight, maybe we can see something." "I hope so too, Peter. I want some answers. Maybe it has something to do with the mystical kidnapping in my childhood," Sandra replied. Sandra had a terrible childhood. She was kidnapped by creatures several times during her childhood. She is still undergoing psychological treatment in this regard. Her case brought the secret organization's attention to her. She and her husband became paranormal investigators. The organization is called the Paranormal Activities Agency, or PAA for short. It is a coalition of global paranormal investigators. She still has nightmares, only this work made her sleep better. She often dreams of her childhood. As a child, she would wake up in the middle of the night. Around her bed are small creatures with thin bodies and huge heads. They stare at her with their large, dark, steady eyes. The experts call these creatures greys. They paralyzed her with green light and then took her through a portal to another room. The other room was strange. She was lying on a large table and the beings were doing experiments on her. She now knows this thanks to a psychologist who hypnotized her to find out what had happened to her. As a child she had scars on her body. Her parents got in trouble with the police, but she always said the little men did this to me. She came to a psychologist and immediately after her hypnosis he called a paranormal investigator. This investigator was a member of the PAA. The PAA tried to investigate but couldn't find anything. After the investigation, the organization trained her to become one of its members. The strange thing was that the kidnapping stopped exactly at that time, when she contacted the PAA recorded. It's as if the beings knew about it and left her alone. She has been a member of this organization for many years now. There she met her husband on a Himalayan expedition. Thanks to her, he is also a member. Now they are here to find out more about the mystical lights around the Baltic Sea. Peter and Sandra finally reach the hotel. They are both tired and are happy to get some rest now. The next few days will be very hard and scary for them. They don't yet know what awaits them soon. Anya closes her fishing store early for today. She is out of fish and the last customer has left the store. She lives in Zingst, a town in Fishland Dars. She has an old BMW and her car is parked behind the fishery. Anya thinks about the strange light that the fishermen saw outside the Baltic Sea. Also what Ralph told her about the birds. She gets in her car and drives home exhausted. She has had a ride through the pine forest and the swamp. Zingst is the last town on this peninsula. The nature reserve begins after Zingst. Many tourists rent bicycles to enter the reserve. It is untouched nature with pine trees, sand dunes and swamp. In this natural reservoir they can observe crane birds in autumn and spring. Zingst is the most famous tourist town there. There are many hotels and private rentals available there. Zingst has a beautiful sandy beach for swimming or walking on the beach. But Anya lives a little away from the tourist crowds. She likes it quiet. She has a house with a garden, that's all she needs. She is alone, her children are grown and out of the house. Her husband died of cancer last year, leaving her the fishery. But she is old and is looking for investors for her company. She wants to spend time at home, working in her beautiful flower garden and even visiting her children. She hopes to find investors as quickly as possible. She is now leaving Arendshoop and making her way to Zingst. The forest looks dark and she feels like something is watching her in the forest. She continues on and passes the towns of Born, Wick and Priro. Finally she arrives in Zingst. The beach is on the left, but she turns away from the tourists on the right. Anya arrives at her house and wants to water the plants before she goes to sleep. She takes the water hose and starts watering when she notices a dark cloud in the sky. This cloud is strange, it's coming straight towards her house against the wind. Now she sees that it is a flock of birds. These birds come closer, she screams loudly and runs into her house. The birds hit the roof, the windows, the walls. It rains birds on her property. After a minute it's over, she goes outside and sees dead bird carcasses all over her garden. These birds broke their necks when they hit the house. Why did the birds do this? She calls the police. The officers arrive within 10 minutes and see the mess. The policeman asks her if something is broken. She says, "No, everything is fine except these dead birds." The police put some birds in a bag to take them to a veterinarian to investigate the reason for the birds' deaths. He tells her that he will send a cleaning company to collect all the dead birds. The official also says that a possible reason could be a disturbance in the Earth's magnetic field. After the police write down the report, they leave her house. She is so shocked that she gets a glass of whiskey. She's never had a day like this before. She just wants to go to sleep. But this is the beginning. The Arendshoop port of Alphagen is located south of the Sal Bay. Captain Helmut Lang is on his fishing boat and is preparing to leave. It is 8 p.m., and he is surprised that 9 fishermen have come to help him in his mission. He checks his ship and prepares to sail. Everyone is nervous, they need full concentration for this undertaking. The sunset appears, the seagulls scream over the ship and the captain calls, "Cast off. Let's cast off." The fishermen loosen the lines and raise the anchor. Captain Helmut starts the engine and they leave the harbor. He turns left to the north, crosses the Sal Bay and enters the Bodstad Bay. On the left side are the places Born and Weak. At the end of the Bodstad Bay there is a huge bridge. This bridge creates the connection to the mainland to the city of Barth. After the bridge they reach the Barth Bay. It is dark now, but the moonlight is very bright today. On the left side is the town of Zingst and the nature reserve. At the end of the peninsula there is a high dune and then the bay flows into the Baltic Sea. Now Captain Helmut moves the steering wheel to the left and drives to the level of Darcer Platz, where the lighthouse is. From there he turns towards the sea. The island of Hidden Sea can be seen on the right side. It is now 12 p.m., and the shipping to the sea continues. The lighthouse disappears on the horizon and Helmut Lang stops the engine. He says, "Keep your eyes open. If you see a strange green light, I will call the Coast Guard immediately." "Yes," the fisherman answered. They watch the sea for almost an hour, nothing. Captain Helmut Lang finally says, "Okay guys, let's go fishing now. Who knows what that was yesterday?" The fishermen want to bring in the fishing net. At that moment a large flying saucer appears over their boat. The fishermen are surprised and scared at the same time. Some of them shouted loudly, "How can this thing come so quickly?" The waves no longer hit the ship, the waves move at a distance. It's as if the boat is between a force field. The air does not move and no sound of the waves can be heard. Helmut Lang doesn't know what to do. They look up at the flying saucer with wide eyes and open mouths. Now there is a very strong green light coming from the unidentified flying object. The fishermen can no longer see anything, freeze and lose consciousness. They are beamed into the ship and the next moment the flying saucer disappeared as if it was never there. An empty ship lies behind in the sea. Anya is sleeping, she wakes up sweating. Something's wrong, it's 3 a.m. She hears a strange noise outside, it's like a quiet magnetic hum. She takes her sweater and makes her way outside to her garden. Would she like to find out where the noise is coming from? She comes outside and looks around, but she can't locate the noise. She looks up at the sky and almost falls backwards. A flying saucer hovers above her and her house. She wants to run into her house. But she can't, it's like she's holding on to something. She can't even move her arms and head. She even lost her voice. A green light fills around her and she feels like she has lost touch with the ground. At that moment she loses consciousness. Helmut Lang wakes up, it's like a nightmare. He is held in place by tentacles coming out of the wall. He sees a round room, the walls look organic with tentacles. He sees that the other fishermen are also being held by the tentacles. In the middle of the room there is a table with instruments. He is frightened when he sees Anya lying on the table, who is also being held by tentacles. What is she doing here? Then he sees the creatures. They look like octopuses. They walk on 4 tentacles, they have 4 arms with 3 long fingers on them. The head is large and long like a cone to the end. They have large eyes of green color and a mouth with sharp long teeth. They are 8 feet tall. One of them holds an amulet in its hand. It looks like a stone with a hole in it and gives off green light. Helmut compares the amulet to adder stones that can be found around the Baltic Sea. Locals call these chicken gods and collect them because they bring good luck. A creature holds Anja's head. The other creature with the amulet places the amulet on Anja's head. The amulet begins to glow bright green. The creature holding her head has disappeared. Anya opens her eyes glow green. This is no longer Anya, this is the creature in her body. The creature takes control of her. Anja's body stands up and smiles demonically. Now tentacles bring a fisherman to the table. Helmut sees how the fisherman feels the same way. The octopus alien with the amulet now comes to Helmut. It places the amulet on his head and speaks to him telepathically. You little worms. We've seen enough of what you've done to this planet. We live underwater and you humans are exhausting our resources. You are throwing trash into the oceans. You think it's your planet. We have been here for 65 million years. Our planet was destroyed by a neutron star. The last of us were hidden in that meteor that destroyed the other animals on this planet 65 million years ago. The last survivors built a new civilization deep in the oceans. It was always good until you people went to sea. We have to hide from you all the time. But now that we've had enough, let's begin our revenge here. And you will be my slave. With these words the tentacles carried him to the table. The creature with the amulet holds his head and places the amulet on his head. He is like Anya and the other fishermen, under the control of these extraterrestrial beings. Helmut's body straightens up, his hands pick up the amulet and hang it around his neck.